White House says it remains confident that a deal can be reached that stops the United States from going over what's been known as the fiscal cliff. Now, that occurs on January the 1st. On Thursday, Republican leaders in Congress abandoned their efforts to try to get agreement for a plan that raises tax rates on incomes over $1 million a year. Now, the Republican House Speaker, John Boehner, was unable to win enough support for the plan from within his own party.
Republicans were set to put their compromise plan to the vote in the House on Thursday. They plan to offer tax increases to those with an annual income of $1 million or more. But they made a last-minute decision to cancel it because many Republicans remain strongly opposed to any kind of tax increase. The White House says in a statement that President Obama is putting a top priority on preventing tax hikes for 98% of Americans. He believes there will be a cross-party solution soon. Earlier this week, Obama proposed a compromise plan to impose tax hikes on people making more than $400,000. The Senate and the House of Representatives will be closed for the Christmas holidays. It's still uncertain whether two sides can make a further compromise and reach an agreement. Across-the-board spending cuts and tax increases are set to go into effect on January the 1st.
If no agreement is reached by the new year on budget reform, draconian tax rises and spending cuts will be automatically triggered. The $600 billion package could push the economy into recession. President Barack Obama has promised to go on working with Congress before the fiscal cliff deadline, but he wants more tax hikes for more better-off Americans than the Republicans will accept. The stalemate continues.
And we are engaged here in the House on this floor today in what has become a ridiculous political stunt, which will actually take us much closer as a country to going over the fiscal cliff. We're wasting valuable time.
The House did pass one bill aimed at cutting domestic spending while protecting the U.S. defense budget. Republicans and Democrats both agree that if no compromise is reached in 2 weeks, it would hurt citizens across the board.
Failure to address this debt crisis means not just 47% of Americans, but every American gets hurt. Every American gets a lower standard of living. Every American, especially the next generation, receives a lower standard of living if we don't fix this mess.
On the 1st of January 2013, a series of tax increases and huge spending cuts are due to come into force. The deadline was imposed in 2011 to force the President and Congress to agree on ways to trim the country's massive budget deficit over the next 10 years. If they can reach a deal before the 1st of January, the cliff will be averted. The fear is that raising taxes while massively cutting spending could push the US into recession.
This is bad news for the Speaker, very bad news. Really, I would say even devastating, because this is a political move that he made for one main purpose, and that is to show the President and, more importantly, to show the American people that Republicans are at least for keeping taxes low for Americans making up to $1 million. And more importantly, they're okay with raising taxes for people making more than $1 million. He simply could not get the votes from fellow Republicans in order to put this bill on the floor. They tried. I was watching on the House floor the moves of many of the House leaders trying to cajole their fellow Republicans to back the Speaker on this. And at the end of the day, they simply couldn't get the votes, so they decided to just pull it off the floor and go home. We're told that the Speaker told rank-and-file Republicans that he is going to continue to try to meet with the President, to talk to the President, to resume those talks, which have really been dead for the past week. They've been stalled. So bad news politically for the Speaker, but perhaps a bright spot when it comes to the big picture, and that is a broader deal on deficit reduction that could avert the fiscal cliff.